dude, like, did you also forget to breathe? I was like, yeah, dude, I also forgot to breathe.
I think it's like the whisperings of a madman.
You are leaving the world in a condition where, with your kids, even with infinite money, are going to suffer.
Every time the
Asad,
movie describes a situation, and I think to myself, that's not exactly how it's going. Like that would never happen. When it's exactly what happens. Hi, hello, welcome back. A brand new episode of Two, please. I'm your Sabin.
and I'm your co-host Rohit.
Now I know we said we'd do this episode prior to the last episode, but then the last episode happened, and it was such a shit show. Like, so the recording of it and the production and the editing of it was such a shit show that this episode that we decided to do got pushed by a couple of weeks.
Yeah, which is why I messaged Abin saying, hey, we were supposed to do this episode. Am I getting old? And did we do it and I've forgotten about it? Or did we not? He's like, no, we haven't done
No,
it.
yeah, no, definitely. Like I'd forgotten about it, and then when he mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, how have we not like done it yet? But
Which is why we're a little late to the party. Mad Max Furiosa has come and gone, unfortunately. But anyway, what we're going to discuss this week is Mad Max Fury Road, which we were supposed to do around the time of the release of Furiosa. But here we are.
unfortunately, but here's the wonderful thing is Furiosa is out on video on demand, and it's streaming in places where it's streaming, so you should go check it out.
Still timely.
Yeah, but anyway,
This was the long con.
that's for another that's for another episode. This is the Mad Max Free Road episode. Let's start the show. All right, where does one begin with this, dude?
This is a story I've told you. I've been, I think, innumerably by this point, and I think I've told the story to many people. Fury Road was one of the first few movies, one of the first 5-10 movies I at least that I watched on IMAX. I was still like getting a hang of what IMAX does. I think Interstellar was one of the first movies I watched on IMAX. I remember. So I was still getting a hang of the format, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's larger screen, it's a more immersive sound. But what can this format really do? It's like when you buy a new pair of headphones, you have that one song you test, right? Which tests the trebles, it tests the bass, and you get a full range of what that instrument can do. I went and saw Fury Road in IMAX, and I was like, fuck, this format slaps. I don't know what I enjoyed more. The movie or watching it in IMAX, especially that first desert, the whole sandstorm scene. I remember I'd gone with a friend, and that sequence is like 15-20 minutes at least. I know biologically it's not possible, but I don't think either of us like breathed for the duration of that scene. Like we were holding our breath, watching it, and then that it dies down, and there's a close up of the one of the vehicles, and the sand falls. I remember turning to my friend, we both were like, oh dude, like, did you also forget to breathe? I was like, yeah, dude, I also forgot to breathe. What an experience it was.
More than you're just gobsmacked. There is so much unfolding on screen.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to the beauty of shooting in camera, which we'll get to later on in the episode. But I understand that this movie is not everyone's cup of tea, but for me personally, it was an experience. It was like an adrenaline shot to the chest. It was like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Uma Thurman gets resuscitated. I felt like I went for the film and somebody just shot some adrenaline into my chest, and I just woke up screaming. Didn't wake up screaming, but you get the point. I'm being a little hyperbolic here.
I don't think you're entirely being hyperbolic, because the sequence up to the title reveal, right, where he's trying to escape, and so 2 minutes in, I'm like, what the what? You go into this hyper, roid rage almost, like, what is happening? It is crazy. It's just high octane, as they say in the film.
Absolutely insane. It's on Netflix. It's on a bunch of platforms. If you haven't seen it, like, guys, we're going to delve into spoilers as this episode progresses. So go check it out. Like, if you've seen me and Rohit just like raving about it for the last 5-6 minutes that we've been recording, like, you definitely have to go check this out if you haven't already. If you like action films. Once again, I need to preface this. I took my dad to watch this film, and he absolutely hated it, having watched the original back in the 70s and the 80s. But this was not his cup of tea. So take that with, like, just our suggestions come with a word of
So
caution.
he likes the originals and he doesn't like this one.
Yeah, I think he's a fan of Mel Gibson, so there's that connection for him. But I don't know. For Tom Hardy,
Understood.
he's
Because
just
I
like
recently watched, what's the second one? Road Warrior.
Road Warrior.
Randomly, it's
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime, so I was watching
Hmm.
it. I don't know, bro. This world is weird, right? And you see that absurdity in all of what happens. I mean, yeah, I am jumping the gun a little, but since you brought it up, I thought the fact that somebody likes the old movies, I want to just talk about them. That absurdity exists in and around what's happening with Immortan and Joe, right? But there is a
Hmm.
very human anchor in Furiosa's story, and the mothers and the side ladies and Mad Max. So there is something to relate to. The original Mad Max, whatever I've seen, a couple of them, they're just weird, dude. They're just straight up weird. There's very little
We'll
to
get into it.
relate to. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, you want to get into
We'll,
it?
we'll
Cool. Then I will
no, let's
hold my points.
But let's start with some BTS before we get into it, because I kind of want to
Okay.
like bring it back into the. We'll kind of want to dive into it as we discuss the BTS, the production issues that this movie faced, the shit
Sure.
show that filming was, and then we'll take it from there. So, okay, so like we've anyway set the board, Mad Max is a franchise that was created by George Miller in the late 70s as a tribute to the violent car gangs in the era that he grew up in Queensland in Australia. Now, this is something I learned in prep for this episode. George Miller was finished his what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Like his residency. Yes, he finished his residency. He was training to be an ER doctor, where he decided to make a movie randomly, thinking, "Hey, what? Let me see what I do." He ended up casting like this unknown in Mel Gibson, shot a movie for 400,000, which went on to gross over $100 million uh, worldwide. It was the titular Mad Max.
Yeah.
He then created a sequel called The Road Warrior, which again was kind of wasn't as successful maybe, but it set the tone for how post-apocalyptic worlds would look. Because
Hmm.
you can tell that this movie is brazenly Australian. Some of the slangs and some of the names that people are called have very strong Australian undertones to them.
There's a kid
I
with a
think
razor sharp boomerang in Road Warrior. I'm like, yeah, bro, that's as Australian as it gets.
yeah, and then I think by the time the third one, Beyond the Thunderdome, was being shot, he lost his co-creator, and as a result, he kind of like there was some issues with the studios. He walked out of production halfway through. Then another director completed the project, and he began working on Contact, which again there were issues with regard to how the script was being developed, and that led to a whole court case situation, which went on for a good 5-6 years. And I think by the mid 90s, he won the case as well as got all the rights to Mad Max in the process. So this movie has been in development since the mid 90s. I think by 1996, Mel Gibson had announced that they're shooting a fourth one, and based on Fury Road. And by 2001, things were ready to roll. Unfortunately, they was ready to roll in Namibia, which is where this film was shot.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, 2001, 9/11 happened, so that immediately put a halt to all production issues. By 2003, they said, "Okay, let's do it now." But by now, Islamophobia was at an all-time high. Investors were not exactly thrilled with the idea of going and shooting in a Muslim country, predominantly a Muslim country. So it just the project just kept getting pushed and pushed. And I think at this point, Miller was like, "Screw this! I'm going to go like make another movie about folks in a barren wasteland." So he made Happy Feet, which was which he won an
Wasn't
Oscar
Babe
for. And
also around this time? Or earlier, slightly, a
I
couple
think
of
Babe
years
was
earlier?
98, 97, 98.
Oh, okay. Yeah, far earlier. Got it.
Yeah, so definitely. And then he made Happy Feet. And I think back around 2010, when Mel Gibson was doing Mel Gibson things, where they revisited the idea of doing Fury Road once again. And I think by 2012, having cast Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, they finally kicked off production.
Good things take time, is what they say. I get it. I hope not every excellent movie has to go through such an arduous process. But I am so glad Miller, persevered through it. If at any point he had given up, we would possibly not have gotten the best action movie of the last 30 years, at least, in my opinion. Terminator 2
Hmm.
was 92, right? So, yeah, of the
I
last
love
32 years. And yours.
it.
So
John Wick is staring at you through like a poster somewhere.
yeah, I'm cool. I'll stare
Mm.
back. I'm fine. I love John Wick. I love John Wick, but Mad Max Fury Road. Uh, what I love about Fury Road, like you alluded very briefly to, right, is it is a classic example of less is more, right?
Yeah,
Uh, there is a lot of world building that happens in maybe 10 lines of dialogue. They give
yeah,
you a sense of what it is and you get to fill in the rest, right? Which also helps because it's up to the viewer how they want to imagine that world. They give you some details, like these women who are like pumping milk out. That's It's a visual. They show it and they move on, right? What it is towards, hey, you tell us, right? Then you have these bunch of disfigured kids. One of them is, in fact, Immortan, Joe's son's disfigured dude. So clearly, genetics has gone for a toss in this world. Uh, like you have these flashes, right? They don't elaborate on it. They're like, hey, we're building, like the fact that V8 as an engine is worshipped. You're just like, what world is this, right? What are the dynamics? What are the societal forces that drive this setup here? It's left up to you as a viewer. So it's a masterclass in less is more. And or maybe I don't know, or maybe George Miller was just so tired. He's like, oh fuck the story, dude. I have this storyboard that I've kept and I've been building for 20 years. Let the viewer make the story. I'm just going to put these visuals out. For all we know, that's
I
what
think that
happens.
yeah, that's probably what happened. But that's fine from from a US perspective because they don't really need to think to pull a performance.
Yeah.
Not always the best case when it's the actors, right? Because the actors
Oh
were
yeah.
given enough prep material. They were given like each character had like pages of backstory to pull from. But when it came to the screenplay and storyboard, George Miller was like, "Hey, this is how the movie takes place. The premise of the movie is simple. There is a woman transporting five women from outside the citadel to another place, helping them escape, basically. And Max joins them on this journey, and then decides to like do something that will probably set them free forever. But to establish Max's character, to establish Charlize Furiosa's character, a lot of the world lived inside George Miller's head, which is
Yeah.
fine. I guess there are directors that are eccentric, but when the world lives inside the director's head, and you as an actor are having to like find are finding it so difficult to pull that information out of him in 100-degree weather. That's a I fully understand why people were annoyed behind the scenes of this film because you
Yeah.
have this.
Most famously, Tom, right? He was like, I'm very sure it's some bullshit. And when he saw the final product, apparently he went up to George and like, hey, I apologize. Clearly, you had something going on which we weren't privy to.
But I get it. Like you're in the middle of a desert, it's hot, and you're sweating. You don't know what your characters are. Your director's asking you to do something. It's like the whisperings of a madman, and you think the director is cooked. And this happens in a lot of scenarios where you're just like listening to somebody babble about an idea, and you're trying to like figure out the logistics of it, and it just sounds like they're coming across as crazy. So props to George Miller to be able to back his talk because this movie without it would have absolutely tanked.
Yeah, true. That said, Tom Hardy shouldn't really complain about people babbling and coming across as crazy. Just saying.
Oh, really?
That's like 9 out of 10 of his characters are just crazy people who babble a lot, which you struggle to understand. So
Fair
just
enough.
saying.
I mean, speaks in the Dark
But
Knight
yeah, I
Rises.
mean, I'm guessing that yeah, and not just Dark Knight Rises, as Alfie Solomons and Peaky Blinders, all of his characters, dude needs to like enunciate a little, please, for us in the audience. But anyways, I guess that energy also sort of, I don't know, soured his relationship with Charlize Theron on set, from what I
Yeah.
recall reading. Obviously he was chronically late for most for shoots on most days, and Charlie's being a very punctual person did not appreciate it. Neither would I. I hate it when people are late.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I guess very very different working styles. I guess again, testament to the point that despite this mountain of shit surrounding getting the movie made, I kudos to him. How he was able to get this product out at the end of it is just outstanding.
Especially with the actors. I'm surprised they even completed the movie. Charlize Theron shaved her head, I think, 3 times for this film. The first time she shaved it, it was it got delayed. The second time she shaved it was when she shot it, and the third time she shaved it was for reshoots.
Oh my
So
God.
uh, apparently December 8th, was it 2014 December 8th, was they, because production was ballooning, the budgets were ballooning. These There were issues on set. The Warner Brothers CEO came down to help sort the whole thing out, and he came in and he told the director, he told George Miller, "Hey, you have till December 8th to wrap up the film." And December, like that's the deadline. There's not a day more or a day less. And by December 8th, they kind of packed their bags and went back. But he hadn't shot the beginning and he hadn't shot the end. So there was a big chunk, and they were trying to figure out the rest in post production. So it was absolutely chaotic, a chaotic way to shoot a film. And what makes it even more insane is that Miller insisted on shooting all of the car action sequences in camera, which involved meticulous training. And if you see some of the sequences in this film, and I think in the first 20 minutes, if you come that it comes to mind with the Warwick chase sequence, and with and with the other uh, monster trucks and cars that follow him, some of it is just absolutely insane. It has people jumping from vehicles to vehicles. It has Tom Hardy hanging off the front of a car. There's a dude playing a guitar with flames coming out the end of the fretboard. It is so crazy.
That Doof Warrior is who we all should aspire to be professionally, right? Dude just
Yes,
knows how to do his job and nothing else. Wake
it's
him
like
up
his
from
purpose
sleep, two
is,
minutes later, he's back to doing his job.
yeah. And he sleeps lying down, as like on hanging as well, right?
Yeah.
He wakes back up, and then off he goes again.
See, every capitalist's wet dream. That guy.
Be like Doof Warrior.
Yeah. But anyway, our BTS has sort of spilt all over the place. But one last point I want to make is for those pole cats, right? Those guys who come in and out, who swing, and they try and throw
Mm.
grenades on the war rig. I think George Miller specifically approached the Cirque du Soleil troupe and said, "Can you lend us a few of your, pole? I don't know what the right word for it is. People who do that performance art side of thing." For this specific sequence, which again, right, this is in the same vein of shooting things in camera, which is to say, hey, I could CG this shit, or I could go batshit insane and hire people who do this for a living, get them to Namibia, get them on a motorbike, on motorcycles, and just do this fucking OSHA nightmare of a sequence and shoot it in camera. Makes sense, yeah. That infinitely makes sense to me compared to just CGing the sequence out. So yeah, I think the dude is insane. I have a sneaking suspicion.
The whole pole thing is it the one where like the two explosions and Max goes from left to right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
There's a
where
sequence.
oof, I mean, it was worth it alone. Can you imagine being in the editing room and seeing it like take place? Apparently, they had about 450 hours worth of footage. So, how this movie got its beginning and end, like how Fury Road got its beginning and end, was quite hilarious, because while they were editing, they had a there was a change of directors on the Warner Brother board. Kevin Sujihara, who infamously got involved with the 2017 Justice League, came on board, and he gave him 3 weeks to for reshoots. They gave him an extended budget to, like, incorporate CGI and figure out whatever stunts they needed, and 3 weeks more to shoot it. So he went back to Namibia for 3 weeks. Charlie said and shaved her head, and then they shot the beginning and the end. And I think 2 weeks prior to the film hitting theaters was when they finally called cut on the final edit of the film. So this was an extreme tight run to the finish line.
Ended up that year winning. I mean, mostly won technicals, but it won the most Oscars of any film that year. So
Six, I think it won about six Academy
6.
Awards.
Yeah. All's well that ends well. But I'm sure everyone was like, amazing. Let's never do this again.
But again, yeah, we have a friend who Ravi was on the podcast who spoke about how he was worried when Furiosa was coming out that it it wouldn't be Fury Road, because he'd had like this phenomenal experience while watching Fury Road, and there was no chance in hell that the studio would allow the director to make the movie the same way again. And it shows
Mm.
in Fury Road and Furiosa. Furiosa is a very different film, operates in a very different tempo. But in terms of like a one and done, I think Fury Road stands by itself.
It's great. I mean, he caught lightning in a bottle. It's fucking
Yeah,
insane lightning. So the next thing in our structure is memorable moments, right? And inadvertently, we've sort of covered a lot of it in our discussion so far. And for me, like I said on message, memorable moments for me is again pretty much the entire film, sort of like Tropic Thunder, right? There isn't a moment for you to, I mean, there is a moment for you to breathe when when the whole green place thing discussion happens. You get a bit of a couple of minutes to catch your breath. But other than that, from start to finish, it's like roller coaster. And for me, the standout sequence is still the first sandstorm. But even
sure.
the final chase that ends with, again, spoiler alert, that ends with Immortan and Joe's car breaking up into these pieces, and that the only bad CGI 3D sequence that's there in the film, right? When that wheel comes, which was a little gimmicky. That entire sequence is epic. Uh, all of it is epic, dude. I don't know. I can't pick.
That's bait. So, which
That's
is now. hmm, so much of this
latest.
film is now like memed, and again leading back to an older point we made, there is this movie again propagated gifs. There was so much of it in that was used for gifs. Charlie Theron screaming on the sand, the whole "that's bait"
Yeah.
gif that popped up. So much of it, right? And even the first 20 minutes with uh, "Witness Me" and I go to Valhalla, Immortan Joe, like so much of it. Even I
I
think
die,
up
I
until
live, I die again.
yeah. And Nick Holt is on it in this movie. Like he's
Yeah.
really like he has a great arc.
Again, I'm going to withhold on some of my thoughts here because this, enters the territory of one of the themes I want to discuss. But
Mhm.
the whole approach to how people are living in this world, right? Or rather, the approach people have to living in this set of circumstances, it's just so bleak, man. And last month, the people who've been following the news last few months, we've been hearing reports of people living in um, your Whitefield, and that belt of areas not having water, having to go to the malls to take showers because they have no water at home. I was like, cool, let's, time to lube up our, our jaws. Get ready. Uh,
Sometimes I really
who's
wonder
gonna.
why you say the things you say.
No, but I mean, jokes
Like,
apart, in
this
all
is a man
seriousness,
happy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
water crisis is, there's been disproportionate focus on fossil fuels and the ozone layer and, greenhouse gases, global warming. I am not saying discount that, right? That is going to be a much larger issue. What seems to me a lot more likely is the issue that's going to affect us a lot sooner than climate change is going to be the shortage of potable, usable water, and not enough is being said about it. And I think lack of discussion on this is something we as a society collectively are going to deeply regret a lot sooner than we think we will be.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming all right. Like just whoever thinks this is a one-off, you're about to have a very rude awakening.
Yeah. So sorry for ending my memorable moment section on that downer. But I mean, do you want to salvage it and talk about some other scenes that you like?
I know. I feel like it's a very nice segue into our theme. So let's just leave it there. I don't really want to talk
Damn.
about this film's memorable moments as much because
Sorry, I took you all there, guy.
it's fine. What to do? It's just one of those things where you like we're rolling with the punches as they say.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. It is a nice segue, right? Because the first theme that I didn't want to discuss is how we get a glimpse of how humanity collectively is going to respond. This is George Miller's hypothesis, obviously, how humanity collectively is going to respond to a situation or a world where this is going to happen, right? And maybe not if, when we face these issues, maybe we will respond to it differently. Maybe we will respond to it with grace, I can't. We're not going to do any of that. This is exactly what it's going to be. I tried
You
to
know,
put on a
every time a
facade.
movie describes a situation, and I think to myself, that's not exactly how it's going. Like that would never happen. Then it's exactly what happens. I
Yeah.
remember watching, was it Contagion or was it some post-apocalyptic film about like
Content.
I assume the human race would never be so stupid as to let this happen in real life. But then, having sat through the pandemic and having watched idiots make idiotic decisions, you're just like, no,
You're like,
treat people
Contagion
for the
was not stupid enough.
It was not stupid enough. I feel like it didn't like it. Kind of it did it. It made the mistake of assuming that humans would make intelligent decisions, but that's clearly not the case because people's egos and people's own personal choices will come into play.
It's a very bad mix of, stupidity on the part of the common person, on the part of the uneducated common, uninformed common person. It's stupidity mixed with a bit of denial and negligence on the part of civic authorities. But the most insidious component of this toxic equation to me is the short-sightedness of people at the top who make these decisions, who are driven by such short-sighted capitalist motivations, that it's like, hey, if I'm able to maximize the money I can make in my lifetime, these are
Yeah.
people who are now in their 60s, 70s, they're like, I don't give a fuck about what happens to the world 20, 30 years from now. I'm not going to be around. And they're trying to make money for what? You can't take your money with you. You are leaving the world in a condition where with your kids, even with infinite money, are going to suffer. How is this not readily apparent to you that this is a fucking boneheaded decision? And for your collective greed, like 1,000 people or maybe 10,000 people in the world who make these decisions for their collective greed, which you can't really take it with you. You are damning 8 billion people, their existence. It just it frustrates, irritates, it angers me to no end, right? That we have a system where this is allowed. Who allowed, like, why are we allowing these people to make these sort of decisions, right? Why do we not have, why is power not more disaggregated? Why can't we have more of a say in the way our planet, the only planet that we have, mind you, is being run?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, coming back to the point, this is exactly how humanity is going to deal in this situation, right? There are going to be
Yeah.
cabals, there are going to be men of power who, have a cult of influence built around them. They are going to oppress people. They are going to withhold resources and, wield power off the back of that. The poor are going to get crushed. Death is going to hold less weightage, and we've been through these cycles. World War, the world wars, all of the wars that we've had, the pogroms, the Holocaust. Humanity has this amazing ability to desensitize itself to death, or it sort of others a set of people when they want to subject them to violence. And really, we have the cognitive ability to rationalize anything when we want it to, right? And
Yeah.
so we are going to keep rationalizing ourselves into a corner until there aren't any corners left, and then all of us are going to come out biting. It's just going to be a shit show. There is no other way this is going to pan out.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know if we'll all come
Sorry.
out with Australian. Yeah. No. This episode is like for a film that is like I mean, here's the thing, right? This is like an action movie with maybe 600 lines of dialogue, give or
If
take.
any, yeah, if that much.
600, like collectively, but yet the kind of impact, it's the kind of issue it's trying to address is very real, to the point where I think because 2015 when we saw it, we're like, yeah, okay, this is something that we need to be aware of. But then we saw humankind's ability to make stupid decisions consistently, and we have been seeing it happen over a period of 10 years. Every year there's something happening, be it someone who's elected into power, be it a decision made by some countries, be it even the reaction to like a global pandemic. People will put their self-serving interests ahead of everything, and then will leave the others to scratch claw and kill for whatever little resources we sprinkle their way. That's kind of that's exactly how like this movie kind of plays it out, and it takes one revolutionary character to break the chain and to like disband the system or so. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but I'm and like definitely not the way that Max does it. Max and Furiosa do it. So, but I'm just saying, figuratively, this is something that inevitably will happen. Somebody will rise up through the muck and hopefully bring about some stability.
I mean, you're far more optimistic than I am, I guess.
Well,
And
all I have is that's all I have left. All I left is my optimism, which is slowly draining day by day.
but no, you're right. And it again, this sort of also leads me to my second point, right? The reason our world functions the way it does, and the reason the characters behave or the world of Mad Max is the way it is because we are, and it is primarily a patriarchal system, right? It's driven by patriarchal thoughts. It's men making the decisions, and that is the problem, right? And that is something that is contrasted beautifully in the film, right? You have these many mothers, I think they're called. I'm forgetting, right? They call the many mothers,
Vivulani.
yeah. Vivulani, right? So you have this
Hmm.
group of women who are a complete antithesis to Immortan Joe's philosophy, right? They are like, okay, we find ourselves in this situation. How can we collectively make it better, right? They're gathering seeds. They want to regreen some part of uh, the earth or some part of the land and start from there, see what goes from there, right? I guess the larger point, again, I'm probably projecting my own thoughts, is that Miller is trying to make is because women have the power to give birth, which we don't. Maybe their thought process is a lot more generative. Their thought process, and because child rearing, at least prehistorically as well, right, has been a collective activity. Even today, at least in India, when a woman gives birth, people come in to help her raise it because it is a very difficult activity to undertake, right? So regeneration, collective effort, these are things which are maybe again, I don't know if I'm mansplaining or whatever, guys. I'm just this is how I think. I'm trying to put a spin on it. Um, it's ingrained into the matriarchal mindset, maybe, right? Like, let's work together to solve the problem through creating something new versus gathering and, like squirreling away or hoarding what's left, because we don't have the power to create life. Probably we've been far better at ending life than women, right? So that's
Yeah.
that's been ingrained into our mindset, which is why our primary response to any scarcity is violence, where their primary response to any scarcity probably is like, how can we solve the scarcity, right? Is there a way to do that? And
Mhm.
that contrast is brought about so beautifully in the film, where these guys are like, hey, we have seeds, let's try and plant. This guy's like, let me hoard all the water and be a fucking bitch about it, right? So that is, for me, the single most powerful message I took away from the film was this, right? I'm like, yeah, be this, don't be this.
Generally,
If we
what are the
can,
current
maybe
examples
there's a
of
way.
like modern day matriarchal societies?
I mean, in India, I know Nagaland is a matriarchal society, and
Hmm.
I know for a fact that there's a lot less violence that happens there. It's a lot more, society is a lot more egalitarian. I'm sure there are a few matriarchal countries also that I'm not aware of.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm not very well versed on the societal benefits of matriarchal societies versus patriarchal ones. I mean, for sure, right off the bat, I'm sure violence is lesser there.
Yeah.
I'm sure crime is
Correct.
lesser there. Again, I'm sure there are enough and more studies out there. All of us should educate ourselves.
Because of traditional roles and because of generations of these of traditional roles being perpetuated through through different societies, there is this almost like there's this feeling even amongst the women that certain sections of women where they aren't given positions of power because purely of the sex that they are from, right? So this happens consistently across the world. I think even
Yeah.
India is getting better at it, far better. I think we're accelerating compared to what we were, let's say, in the last 10, 15 years. But it exists in the United States. I mean, you can see how that's unfolding. um, and you just take a look at the people running in their races, and just and why certain people won't vote for certain people. It's just that stigma is somehow still there, and I feel like as and when they've been given where women in positions of power have been given roles to carry out, very rarely has it actually gone wrong.
I think I've said what I wanted to say. I completely agree with you. I was going to add on to it, but like no, I could we could keep going on about this, but
This
we
could turn into
also
a whole
have
other episode. I think this
yeah,
is
yeah.
it's called Mad Max Fury Road. We're like this is
Yeah,
clearly going
we
in different directions.
should get back on topic. Yeah. So the last theme I want to talk about is what home means to each and every one of them, right? Which again is one of those aspects where George Miller is like, hey, I'm going to talk about what home means to these guys, but he also wants us to walk away from the film thinking about. He wants us to place ourselves in that situation, right? What would I want? What would I cherish, right? What would give me some modicum of happiness even in this bleak world. So obviously for Furiosa, it is the green place as she keeps she keeps chasing, right? She wants to get to the green place, and that's her driving force for undertaking all of the hardship and all of the pain. It just keeps. You can see it in the movie as well, right? She's like, no matter what, we need to get there. We need to get there, and this is something we ourselves are guilty of quite often, right, where we narrow our entire motivations down to this. We delude ourselves into thinking if X happens, everything else will be fine, right? So just like once I get to the green place, it'll all be fine. Then we pin
Yeah.
all our hopes on this one thing, and if it doesn't materialize, like again, spoiler alert, if it like it doesn't for her in the film, we tend to get go to bits because we've over indexed all our hopes onto it. uh, so he also makes mention of that. George Miller does. But for her, green place and the many mothers, going back to her roots is her home. And she wants that to be the home for those 5 women as well that she's helping smuggle out of Immortan Joe's citadel. With Max, the contrast again here is the home that he had, which was his family, is gone, right? So this is a man who is perpetually condemned. He has sort of put it upon himself to never have another home again. Which is why even
Yeah.
at the end of the film, when you have such a nice happy resolution, when Furious has come back, Immortan Joe's dead, they've taken over the citadel. Uh, you get a sense that things will be a lot more egalitarian now. People don't have to suffer the way they do. And by any national metric, you'd be like, yeah, this is a great place to stick around, right? Things are going to be nice. And then you see Max leaving that place. He's like, I am not going to find any respite anywhere. It is my lot in life to just always be on the run, always be anxious, because the one place where I could feel joy doesn't exist anymore. So
Yeah.
again, great contrast of what home means to the two of them.
I mean, personally, just generally, it's the case with most people. I think everyone, if you ask anyone to define their idea of a home, it varies. It could be place, it could be people. I know I definitely, my identification of home is definitely the people I'm close to. Like I'm being around people I've either grown up with, people I've met in life at some point in time. They propagate the idea of home, but to a certain set of people, it's like things have been difficult, and there was a time back in like much like in Furiosa's case, where back in the early days where things are a lot more jovial and happy, and that's a time that they yearn to go back to. So time, place, people is ideally, which the kind of film really does a great job of illustrating, of being like, this is your, we all, home is where the heart is for everybody, but the personification of home is very different for a lot of people.
I remember when I finished watching the movie. I think it was inevitably so. I tried to picture myself in that world, right?
Mm.
I think a couple of realizations right off the bat. I would not fare very well. I'm fairly certain I would have a very miserable existence. I would not be somebody who would be able to break the shackles. Yeah, no, not happening.
I don't know. I feel like
Because
we've used a little too much.
think of this world, right? Intelligence doesn't count for as much as it would does today. Um, all of the things that I think I'm better at, like I'm eloquent. I can talk. Maybe I can write a little. Nobody gives a fuck about that shit in this world.
How
It's
resourceful are
it's
you?
yeah.
Mm.
It's can you bend people to your will? Do you have uh, just raw strength, charisma? things that I don't think I'm very good at. So yeah, I'm not going to do very well. I don't know. What about you? What do you, how do you think you would fare in this world?
I'm a dead man. Just, I think I'm just going to like keep going to the gym. I'm just kidding. But I feel like generally in
You're
terms
just
of
going to
what,
keep going to the gym, huh?
yeah, it's probably because the one thing I have is my stature, so I might as well keep it in shape to work some field somewhere.
Oh my god, yeah. We didn't even mention the other, a bit more of the world building, the bullet farm, and uh, what's the
The
other
swamp.
thing? There's the oil. There's an oil guy. There's a bullet guy. There's a water guy, and then there's the
Hmm.
swamp plant, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even know which camp I would be in.
I don't think you
I
get to
don't.
pick. You just get to put into one
Yeah,
whatever's
actually,
there.
I actually don't think I would even make it to the point where I be assigned. I would like among the first people, like first wave of water shortage, I'm dead. Like I'm not even last. I'm dead. I
I don't
haven't
know.
had
I
my
can think a
morning
lot
shower
about.
3 days in a row. I'm dead.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But I saw some video the other day where someone was talking about having 2 showers a week, and my whole
Gag
sense
reflex
of
you to
being,
something.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah, no. Maybe I'll just kill myself in anticipation, bro. Water shortage is coming. Let's not be somebody's bitch. Let's just kill ourselves now only.
Bro, I think this is like our, in terms of the most random episode we ever recorded, this is it. I think what you and I are both tired. Like this is just wow. Editing with this will be fun. Trying to
all
make
of
like a
our all of
coherent.
our intrusive thoughts have won.
Wow, I'm just thinking. I'm like, fuck this movie. Poor thing. It deserved a better podcast. We have just gone off the rails. I mean, to be fair, like I know we've been talking about like this movie. This the entire pod has gone off like in different directions. But in a movie that had such a troubling schedule that was basically going off the rails in different points in time, I feel like this is
Yeah, it's
as
a
apt
meta
as it
tribute.
gets.
A meta
I know, like a
tribute.
method.
No, but the other reason I'm not talking too much about the movie and more about our sentiments about it and themes, etc., because in terms of critical review of the movie, there's so much out there in the discourse. And to me, honestly, I could talk about the movie in one line saying, yeah, best action movie of the last 30 years. Fight me, right?
Hmm.
So it's as simple as that. I am
But
talking about
what are
this
you
thing because of
saying that
whatever.
others haven't said?
Yeah, exactly. Has anyone spoken about sucking Immortan and Joe's dick? No. I'm the first one to do that.
You know what, dude? I'm 100% sure there's fan fiction somewhere. I saw something the other day about how a friend of mine shared this story saying,
Why am I debasing myself? Sorry.
I don't know, dude. No. I saw this friend of mine put up a story saying, uh, you think women aren't attracted to guys because they're ugly. Right now somebody's writing fan fiction about Walter Goggins' character in Fallout. Like smut fan fiction.
Oh my god. Oh
So it's
yeah.
just like, hmm. I mean, don't worry about it. So you think that if you haven't spoken about like giving
Yeah, the
Immortan Joe
Fallout world is
the
a lot better, I would say. This like Mad Max world, Last of Us world, it's terrible, bro.
Fallout world is
Fallout is
like,
a
isn't it
far
nuclear
better world.
holocaust? No?
Yeah, and it like people are chilling above ground and all. Fallout. I would happily take the Fallout world. I mean, since we are
But
going
yeah,
to get an apocalypse, if you had to pick your apocalypse, I
pick
would.
your
Yeah.
apocalypse. Yeah. BYOA, bring your own apocalypse.
But yeah, and this is among the worst. The Mad Max world is among
Far,
the.
anything with water shortage generally, it's just like, is that's the
Ugh,
end.
yeah. Is that the note we're ending on?
No, no, we have to finish our last category. How does Mad Max Furiosa connect to
Oh fuck!
Mad Amy? Amy Dunn and Gone Girl?
I did not do the research for this. I should have.
No, it's okay. I think
Forgot.
we can figure it out. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy, forget Christian, fuck Christian Bale. Tom Hardy, Anne Hathaway, Dark Knight Rises, Anne
Yes.
Hathaway, Interstellar, Matt Damon. Answer always Matt Damon. Matt Damon, Ben Stiller, I'm saying fuck. Ben Affleck, Good Will Hunting. Ben
Yes.
Affleck, and we're home. Rosamund
We're at
Pike, Gone Girl. So there's
Gone
five,
Girl.
four or five, yeah.
Okay, let me try. Let me try this. Actually, I also got it. I got it. So, okay, here we go. Tom Hardy,
Hmm.
Leo DiCaprio, Inception.
Leo DiCaprio is the other one. Always an in with
Hmm.
him. Yeah.
No, no, it's Leo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Departed.
Hey, fucker.
Good Will Hunting.
I'm telling you, the answer's always Matt Damon. He has worked with
Find an
everyone.
ensemble cast. An ensemble cast. Where is Matt Damon and Leo? You get Leo
Yeah,
DiCaprio and Matt Damon together.
done. You're sorted.
But yes, that is us for this week's episode. Anything more to add?
I could if you want me to, but careful what you wish for. No, no.
You know
Uh,
what? No, no, no.
Nothing on topic. I don't have anything
Nothing
to
on
add
topic.
on.
Nothing. Fair enough. Nothing on topic. Today's episode has been all over the place, but it's a good one. It occasionally gets us also like to think of different directions. I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
if I had
rambling.
to,
I'm gonna end.
no, no, if I had to leave people with a message, right? Few things. First, if you haven't watched Fury Road yet, I mean, what the fuck? Firstly, please rectify that error as soon as possible. Second, the apocalypse is coming and it is likely water centric or at least water adjacent. So prepare yourself. Third, try and be nicer. Let's try and be nicer to each other in the upcoming apocalypse. Let's not continue to be myopic, and try and let's try and solve this problem together. And lastly, yeah, try and stay alive as long as you can. Try and find your own home, your own definition of home. And if you can't, just find your local Immortan and Joe and suck his dick.
What a way to end an episode. Oh man. The number of times you have discussed blowjobs in this, especially Rohit giving Immortan Joe blowjobs in this episode, is insane.
But yeah, that's what I want you all to take away from this episode.
Think of this. For your sake and for mine, let's end this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Please, if you like this abomination of an episode, please,
Somehow, if you do,
somehow if you made it here, oh my god, whoever you are, dude, or dudette,
uh,
thank you.
see you on the next one.
Take care.